All right, everybody, again, good afternoon, and thanks for watching News Now, which is a part of Fox10Phoenix.com. My name is Pilar Arias. For those of you who don't know, we've gotten a lot of new News Nowers is what I like to call our viewers anyway. So hello again. I think this is like the third or fourth time today that I've been waving. I just like to wave all the time, do the fancy waves. Just want to let you all know that we are definitely aware that you are here. We are glad that you are here. We appreciate your viewership, and we like to get to know you a little bit better. I have an echo coming from one of my speakers right here, right next door, so I'm going to turn that off right now. It's okay. We like to show you guys that we're totally in charge of the stream. We control the graphics that you see there. Take a look at that, see what I mean? We control the audio as best we can. Sometimes when the feeds come in or when we record, it's out of our control. We can't do anything about it, but we always try to do our best to monitor the audio for you. And we roll the video, we do the graphics, we ad-lib. There's no script here on News Now. There's no teleprompter. When you think of like the size of a GoPro, that's the size of the cameras that are, we've got three of them. We've got one directly in front of me and one on each side here. So it's all the three cameras about the size of a GoPro. No room for a teleprompter. It's all ad-libbing. That's why sometimes I mess up. But hey, where there is a will, there is a way. At first, I tried to play that 9/11 Victims Compensation Fund news conference with you there with Senators Gillibrand and Schumer, and the audio wasn't working. So then I tried a different way, and it did work. So good news there. Now I am ready to go with some top stories of the day for you. And I have a couple friends who live in Salt Lake City, Utah. Some who are working in the industry. They're journalists. They're reporters up there. And I heard about this story. Let's see, today's Thursday. I think I heard about this story on Monday or Tuesday, and I was like, oh boy, this sounds great. Well, the Fox affiliate up there in Salt Lake City was able to do the story. It's about an 11-year-old boy who's selling a cold drink on a hot summer day, but it's the sign that he's holding that's getting him tons of attention. Let's watch.
A lot of heads, and it's all because of this ice cold beer, root beer, that is. At just 11 years old,
it's here in the summer and it's real hot.
Seth is somewhat of an entrepreneur.
And this is also doing for great free advertising.
He's drawing in the crowds.
Just one?
Yeah, just one.
Okay. Thank you.
And turning some heads.
Drink responsibly.
All with his ice cold beer.
You had to buy another cooler. Thank you. Thanks. Tell your friends. Just root beer, IBC root beer.
Of course, he's not actually selling beer.
And I thought of the hilarious joke, ice cold beer, because some people would think it's funny because it's root beer though.
I'm just gonna give you some cash, dude. I think it's funny.
This sign,
Don't drink and drive.
is getting him a lot of attention.
We received 3 calls in 2 days.
And the people who call the cops don't have a sense of humor though.
Take a closer look and you'll see the sign isn't deceiving,
They did not read the fine print.
just clever.
Root.
We laughed. We laughed about it. It was great.
Wait, let me check. Things are okay.
It's hard work to be in the root beer game, but at the end of the day,
Want a cold one?
it's definitely paying off.
I'm also a state representative.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And I represent this area. And
Okay.
Senator Mitt Romney sent a message to me. And he wants to so he wants to send you a letter.
Is it okay to drink on duty?
Yes.
Okay.
So we definitely had to buy some root beers here today. There you go. But ideally, he said he wants to sell one to Governor Herbert or President Trump. In Brigham City, Elle Thomas, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Oh man, Elle Thomas, thank you so much for that story. It definitely got a lot of you talking on YouTube. You're like, hey, I want some root beer. What a clever 11-year-old boy there. Might get into marketing in the future, advertising, you never know. But when you're thinking that great at that young of an age, there's definitely something special about you. So, hey. What a way to maximize profits. All right, any of you News Nowers out there live in a Rust Belt state, feel free to let me know. Let's type a capital R. That should be good if you live in a Rust Belt state. That's because this next top story I have for you is taking a look at the risk they pose for President Trump's reelection.
Wisconsin.
A red wave washed over Pennsylvania during the 2016 presidential election, sweeping up many rural counties and swinging just enough votes to flip a reliable blue state red. But with slow economic growth, many voters could jump ship ahead of the 2020 election.
I've always voted Democrat up until the last 2 elections. I voted Republican.
For Larry Nelson, a steel worker in Erie, PA, his decision to vote for Donald Trump was easy. his job.
I felt that he was trying to put the country on the right track.
But nearly 4 years later, his plant is facing closure. An ongoing battle with state regulators could shut the plant down for good, leaving Nelson unemployed.
I'd give him another chance. He seems to be better than anybody else that I'm looking at.
Others aren't as optimistic. Sean Fedorka, a small business owner, says the president's vision is stuck in the past.
I'm happy to trade off some really dangerous, potentially harmful jobs today to gain more high-valued, environmentally healthy jobs tomorrow.
Experts believe Donald Trump's victory came largely in part because of America's Rust Belt, states like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, where he was able to connect with voters who felt forgotten. But recent polling in the county shows President Trump's approval rating at only 35%. Political scientists say both parties have work to do.
The Republicans need to worry about keeping that enthusiasm and sort of maintaining some of the promises and making good on the promises of the 2016 election.
For Democratic candidates, the lagging unemployment rate at 4.3%, along with a push for new industry, could be an opportunity to reclaim the region.
Democrats really have to focus on centralizing their message, figuring out policies that are going to attract the voters that might have been dissuaded.
In 2016, just 44,000 votes separated the race in the state, so any shift in the electorate can sway the outcome next year. In Erie, Pennsylvania, Talia Kirkland, Fox News.
I thought I accidentally cut her off, but I guess I didn't. Hope you all are having a great day. Pilar Arias still here with you. As you can see behind me, the Fox 10 Phoenix newsroom where everybody is putting together all of the newscasts. Don't forget, we just ended our noon about 22 minutes ago, but we've got a 4 o'clock, a 5 o'clock, a 6 o'clock, a 7 o'clock, which is on Fox 10 Extra, Channel 45, Cable 9. I happen to be live in that show twice. And then we've got a 9 o'clock and a 10 o'clock, so plenty of newscasts, lots of news to tell you about, not just across the Phoenix area, Arizona, the Valley, and northern Arizona, southern Arizona. We cover the whole Grand Canyon state, as well as regional news, Southwest news, and any news across the country that you need to know about. We've got you covered right here on News Now and on Fox 10 Phoenix, whether it's on air or online. All right, we're going to head to Berkeley, California next, where it turns out they have voted to get rid of gender-specific language. Let's find out the details.
A telling example, what Berkeley's new ordinance will do is the renaming of manholes in its municipal code.
It's a steel cover. It's a steel cover on the ground that's covering a hole that goes through the sewer.
But starting next month, it will be called a maintenance hole, eliminating the gender-specific term man.
They come up with these cockamamie things all the time.
The they he's referring to is the Berkeley City Council, which passed the ordinance unanimously Tuesday.
Language has power. The words that we use are important.
23-year-old Rigel Robinson is the city council member who introduced the ordinance. He's the youngest person ever elected to the office.
It's not only timely, but necessary to make sure that our laws really speak for everyone.
But the changes don't speak to everyone.
What was your first reaction when you heard about it?
I was just like, come on. Like, enough is enough.
This UC Berkeley student belongs to a fraternity. Another change will be fraternities and sororities will now be referred to as collegiate Greek system residences.
I think they've gone too far. Like, the reason why they're gender separated is because they actually are gender separated. Fraternities are male, sororities are female.
It sounds like they want to include everybody, including trans and the entire LGBTQ community that gets left out.
The existing Berkeley Municipal Code uses mostly male pronouns such as he, but the new code will switch from he and she to they when referring to individuals, and words such as manpower will now be either human effort or workforce.
By all means, men can be in power, but that doesn't sound inclusive to women.
To go non-gender is a typical Berkeley kind of thing.
All right, well, that story definitely getting a lot of you talking on our YouTube chat. Currently 3,536 of you watching. Yeah, we've got it down to a science. Just kidding. YouTube provides us the live numbers of how many viewers we have. So thanks for being here. Hey, this is Phoenix, Arizona. Downtown, off in the distance on like the top left-hand side of your screen. You can see Chase Field there. And I believe that's 7th Street, the major roadway that you see running north and south there. But the roof is closed at Chase Field. I believe the Diamondbacks are playing the Brewers this weekend, and it's kids-free weekend even. I think it starts tonight and it goes through Sunday. Yeah, the 18th through the 21st is what I remember. If you buy an adult ticket to the game, a child under the age of 15 gets in for free. So there's probably going to be a lot of families at the ballpark this weekend. Go D-backs. That's what we like to say here in the Valley of the Sun. I am a Phoenix native, and I remember the days before we even had a Major League Baseball team. Yeah, I also remember the days before the Loop 101 was down in Chandler, before it went south that far. So yeah, as a Valley native, somebody born and raised here in Mesa, I remember Phoenix a little bit differently than some people do, and but we welcome all the people who have moved here to Phoenix and Arizona recently. Our economy definitely appreciates it, and it's been a pleasure meeting a lot of you out in the community. Okay, so there's a reason I brought us back here to Phoenix, Arizona. That's because Fox 10 Phoenix's very own Carmen Blackwell has this next top story about Macy's workers honored for saving a woman.
It was the right place at the right time. These 4 employees saved loyal customer Reba Mason's life last week at Macy's in Arrowhead Mall.
She is one of our great clients. We do appreciate her business, and we all love her, and we're excited that we were there at the right place at the right time.
After Reba went into cardiac arrest, she fell unconscious.
There was a medical error with the procedure, and I received an opiate overdose. I did not know. For me, the scariest part, I think, still is trying to comprehend how I drove 10 miles on the highway to get to my favorite store, which I don't remember going.
That's when employees say they were able to use their CPR training at the perfect time until Peoria firefighters arrived.
I jumped up and ran and saw that she needed help, and we called 911 and got her, CPR, and here she is.
Yeah. Reba survived her heart attack, but she still battles her fight against breast cancer.
I never thought this was going to happen. They had given me 2 to 4 years. I'm in my 4 years right now. It is getting worse.
She says regardless of how much time she has left, she's thankful for the men and women who jumped in to spare her just a little more time.
Words can't express my gratitude. These will be my angels for the rest of my life.
In Peoria, Carmen Blackwell, Fox 10 News.
All right, everybody, we're taking a live look at Times Square in New York City. Looks a little bit of a gloomy day out there. I'm actually going to look up the weather. New York City weather. You probably hear me typing. Says it's 81 degrees out there. A little mostly cloudy, overcast day. They're expecting rain on Monday out there in the Big Apple, but wow, they're on Saturday over the weekend, 98 degrees, Sunday 99 degrees. They actually have an excessive heat warning for New York City and southern New York State. Wow, it's gonna get pretty warm out there, everybody. You add humidity there, being right on the coast, and it's gonna get pretty warm. I remember when I was out there, I believe it was summer 2011, and I walked through Central Park. It was like one of the hottest days recorded in New York City history, and I was like, well, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, I should be used to this. But no, I remember it was extremely, extremely warm. But this is one of my favorite live pictures to bring you. You can people watch. You've got all the taxis, you've got tourists, you've got locals, because remember, people have to work in Times Square too. It's not all tourists. People work at the shops, at the restaurants, and I know that. I think it's Bordeaux Wines right there. That was actually under construction. They just put that up next to the shop that says Seabow on it. I think it used to be a coffee shop. Not quite sure if it still is, but a lot of people out there. Summer break, perhaps, catching all the sights, the sounds, the food, the drinks, the Broadway shows. Great time out there in New York City. All right, I got one more top story ready to go for you. This one's about Pennsylvania officers hailed heroes for saving a baby's life. Another feel-good story this Thursday on News Now.
Conshohocken police officers Joe Glasgow and Xavier Perez getting a standing ovation as they're honored by the borough for saving a little baby's life with little time to spare.
Their focus, save a life. And that's what they did.
It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon on the 4th of July. The two officers responding to the Grand at Riverview Apartments on West Elm Street for an infant in cardiac arrest.
Once you hear that, you're like, we got to get there. We got to get there.
The officers on the scene in minutes. The child, who's been on a feeding tube since birth, not breathing. Officer Perez immediately giving CPR to little Diana Bonifacio.
The whole time I was thinking about my family and how I would feel devastated.
The baby was not responding. Officer Glasgow taking over, trying to clear her airways.
It didn't look good for a while.
The paramedics arriving on the scene. Officer Glasgow rushing her downstairs to a waiting ambulance while continuing life-saving efforts. And all of a sudden, Deanna started to cry.
It was the best sound in the world. It was music to my ears.
Little Deanna was breathing again. Her color was returning. This picture snapped by her dad in the ambulance as she was whisked away to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, alive. The officers, her heroes.
I just like to think that's part of the job, honestly.
Are you proud of your daddy?
Yeah.
Do you know that he saved a little baby's life?
Daddy.